The Flash, number 27, written by Brian Buccellato, art by Patrick Zurcher. So it's kind of the start of a new arc here. We open up in the Midwest Territory in 1848. There's a rainstorm going on, and there's some creepy dude looking like the Undertaker who comes in and he talks to this guy named Sutter who's digging out gems. And Sutter's like, hey, I just found all these gems and I was totally going to tell you about all of them. You got to believe me. And the Undertaker named Marshall is like, I don't trust you at all. You were going to take them all for yourself. And so he picks up a pickaxe and seemingly kills this guy. And we get Flash's narration saying that obsession is dangerous and it makes people do crazy things. And we see, meanwhile, in Keystone, there's an entire street that's just nothing but jewelry stores, and every single one of them has been hit. So Flash rushes in, he checks all the places. Nobody's been injured, so he's able to just go straight to the people who did it. And going down into the subway, we see fighting each other is Chroma and Tar Pit. Turns out that they thought that each other were going to steal all of the diamonds, and so they weren't even able to escape before they started bickering with each other. And Flash is like, guys, you know the rogues at least usually get away before they start fighting, right? Also, why did you hit up every single store on the street? That's just stupid. And so Chroma goes to blast Flash with his rainbow powers, literally saying, taste the rainbow. And Flash just punches him in the stomach, and Chroma's like, oh God, I'm going to throw up. So then Tar Pit's like, all right, now it's my turn. And he melts a crater down underneath this subway station, to which Flash just runs over to a fire truck nearby, grabs a fire extinguisher, and puts out Tar Pit. And he's like, there, no problems, all good. But as he looks down into this crater that Tar Pit has made, he sees that there is just a bunch of skeletons down here. And it's like, okay, what is this? So now is Barry Allen with the rest of the police force. He's down there investigating, and it's like, all right, there's at least 17 different bodies here. This is the work of a serial killer from way back in the day. They say, looking at the level of decomp, they were dumped here years ago, and we may have never found this guy. We got to figure out who it is. And then coming down the ladder into this crater is Captain Fry, and it's like, hey, Barry, we caught this guy. Yeah, no, this is the Broomhill Butcher. His name is Hollis Holden. He's serving 32 life sentences. We just never found all of the bodies, and he would never fess up to it. But we're going to run diagnostics on these, and we're going to confirm them to match with him and his way of killing. And Barry's like, I'm sorry, I grew up in that area, Broomhill. Why have I not heard of this guy? And it's like, we don't like talking about it. You were too young as well. Why would we share that with a kid? So at that point, they turn to Detective Forrest, and they're like, Forrest, can you take this? And he's like, no, my caseload is full. You want me to take on a serial killer as well? Not going to happen. And Barry's like, hey, I can do it. I've got nothing down in cold cases. This would be great. I can easily do this. And Forrest is like, yeah, no, all cool. So Singh gives it to Barry, but then Captain Price comes in and says, no, this is Forrest's thing. Barry's not touching this. And they all ask for a reason why. And he's like, I'm the captain, I say so. That's why. So Barry's talking to, oh God, why am I blanking on her name? The girlfriend, whatever her name is, Patty. That's it. And she's like, well, that doesn't sound like him. Did you talk to him about it? And he's like, I mean, not yet. He's the captain. I gotta do what he says, but still, I can at least help in behind the scenes for whatever Forrest finds. I'll set up a timeline. So he uses his super speed to very quickly set up a murder board with all of the yarn and stuff. And we see the victims start getting identified. However, a lot of them had died within the past 10 years, which was within the time that this serial killer has been in jail. So they realize okay, he couldn't have killed them all. There's some new blood here. There's either a copycat or someone who worked with them. Something's going on. So as he looks at all the people who went missing around that time, because that's how they're cross-referencing to find who these murder people are, they see Nora Allen. Barry's mom was one of the people who were killed around this time. And I guess in this continuity, it wasn't confirmed that it was Thawne. I thought that was a thing, but no, her murder is still a mystery. So Barry goes to talk to his dad in jail, and he brings up, the Broomhill Butcher. I think he killed mom. And the dad's just like, no, don't get into this. That's not That's not how it was. Don't do it. Don't do this to yourself. And he's just like, no, look, it all makes sense. I've got all these statements and stuff of accomplices. I'm going to prove that mom was killed by this guy and get you out of jail. And the dad gets pissed off saying like, stop, I'm not listening anymore. I'm going back to my cell. Don't do this. And he goes back away. So Barry goes into the jail cell of the serial killer as Flash. And he's like, hey, we found a bunch more bodies. You had an accomplice. Who was it? And the guy doesn't talk, but he very clearly looks disturbed by this. And Barry notices, and he's like, you know who it is. Give me a name. And Hollis tries to like sneak around him, says like, oh, it's dinner time. They're going to notice if I'm not there. And he's like, well, then make it fast. Tell me. Even if it's not like whatever you're scared of, I don't care. Just give me a name. And he says, it doesn't matter. He's already dead, and so am I. And this guy jumps off the 3rd level of cells. So then Flash runs down and like grabs him, holds on to a nearby ledge, where then he is attacked by Girder. He's like, hey, Flash, nice to see you. Stomp. And tries to get into a fight with Flash. And Flash is like, I don't have time for this. So he steals one of the guard's guns and just starts beating Girder over the head with it enough to knock him out. And he's like, there, fine. Anyway, Hollis, give me a damn name. And he's like, oh, okay, it's Archibald Dillon. So Barry goes and talks to Captain Fry and is basically like, hey, I got a name. I will. He is killed. He's down in the cemetery. Let me exhume the body. I'll take a bit of DNA and I'll like run it against the DNA that was left in my mom's crime scene. And Captain Fry's like, no, you don't understand what you're messing with here. Stop doing this. And he's like, why? What is the problem? Why don't you want me to figure this out about my mom? And he's like, you don't understand what was going on with your mom. And Captain Fry makes the reveal of, me and your mom had a thing. Like when you were young, me and her were seeing each other. And he's just like, what? You didn't tell me? All these years you were raising me, you didn't tell me this? And he basically just storms out of the room as Captain Fry says, like, still not giving you permission. This guy didn't kill Nora. So Flash is super pissed off. He goes down to the cemetery. He's like, look, I'm going to dig it up super speed. I'll get the DNA. I'll dig it back, or I'll put it right back. No problem. And as he digs up the coffin this guy's supposed to be in, turns out it's empty, and then all of a sudden he is attacked with a ghostly pickaxe from behind. The ghost screams out saying, Fletcher must die. So don't know what that means. Honest to God, the last 2 pages are a little bit of a like, okay, I guess this is how we're ending the book. I guess that's the biggest problem I have with it, is that it's a very sudden ending. It builds up a lot of things to begin with, but it's a very sudden ending. So I think it's pretty obvious that the arc words of this is obsession is dangerous. It's literally the first thing Barry said in this issue, and Barry is obsessed about finding this killer because he believes it'll lead to the killer of his mom. I get that. I see where that book is going. I'm just hoping there's a bit more twists and turns along the way that are going to keep it interesting. Having a ghostly pickaxe guy, yeah, that's kind of what I'm talking about. As for like the new romance angle of Captain Fry was doing a thing with Nora, I'm not a big fan of going back and retconning that stuff, but if that's what they want to play with, hopefully they have good reason for it. All in all, I think this issue is probably a 7.5. I enjoyed the reading of it. It set up a good mystery, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the arc covers it.